Hello and welcome. I'm working on a dog painting today, and I have to say that dogs aren't my typical painting subjects, but I came across this photo of such a happy little ball of fluff that I couldn't resist having a go at painting this little dog. Now, since he is such a ball of fluff, he does present a few challenges. I mean, I never really am looking to create a perfect, realistic, hyper-realistic painting, but I do want to capture his movement and his happy expression. So there are a couple of angles that are quite important for me to get there, like the angle on his front paw. So once I've put those in pencil, I move on to the painting. And if you're a watercolour painter yourself, you might think what I'm doing now is a little bit unconventional, and perhaps it is, because conventionally watercolour artists tend to work from light to dark. But I wanted to connect with this happy little guy, and one of the main reasons I wanted to paint him was his joyful expression. So putting in his eyes was very helpful for me, because then I could see him and his happy little glint in his eye. The other thing that I find very helpful in doing that is that the values are really critical in getting the volume and dimension into your painting subject. And the white, which is the lightest value, is already there on the paper. So I find it quite helpful to go ahead and pop in those darks straight away, because then I've kind of got both ends of the scale, and I find it a little bit easier to judge my darks and lights once I've got the two extremes in. And this little dog is a white dog. So that presents other challenges for the watercolour painter, because, as you know, we don't typically use white paint. To be honest, painting white things is quite a challenge in any medium, because it's hard to think of shades of white, and I guess that's because as soon as it's got different tones, it isn't actually white at all. And I rather like that. Once you embrace the idea that your white subject is actually going to be painted with all sorts of colours, it's quite liberating. So I am opting to use a colour called lavender, which is a nice soft purple, as you might expect, to put in a lot of the shadows in part of his body. And then I've also got a colour in my palette called Neutral Tint, which is a very handy dark that I often come back to. And I've mixed that with an alizarin crimson to give me really quite a warm dark value to put in the shape of his body. And he's bouncing along in the grass there, and if the sight of him doesn't make you want to skip along in a daisy field, well, I suppose nothing will. And the daisy field is actually quite useful, because if you're painting something that is white, you do actually rather benefit from having something dark in the background, because that's the only way that you can make your subject stand out. It's effectively negative painting. So it emphasizes the edge of your subject, even if you've painted it but in a pale colour. Or if it's actually a highlight, like some of the edges of his fur there, you're actually painting the little pieces of fur by painting the outside of the fur. It's a funny thing. It's kind of like painting the subject by not painting the subject, if you know what I mean. And I'm trying to be mindful of the direction I'm moving my brush strokes, because that is helping me get the feeling of this little chap skipping along and with his little fur blowing in the wind. Oh, isn't he cute? He was such a delight to paint, and I hope you enjoyed watching him appear on the paper. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment if you want to see more videos like that, and click that notification bell if you want to be notified when the next video pops up on a Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Happy painting.